The new Nationals leader, David Littleproud, joins me here in the studio. Thank you very much for your time. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As you said, it was 40 years ago as a 6-year-old that you handed out how to votes for your old man at the time. So it's a long journey within the party.
Yeah, it is. And look, I'm not just the product of my family or chinchilla. I'm the product of the National Party. I've lived and breathed the National Party all my life, really. And it's something that, an honour that's been bestowed on me that I take very seriously. I'm very humbled that I've been given this opportunity, and one in which I think poses the opportunity to the National Party to continue on for another 100+ years. We've defied the odds over many years, but it's also to live up to the legacy of those that come before me, the Barnaby Joyces, the Michael McCormacks, the Warren Trusses, the John Andersons of the world, Mark Vales of the world, to work and to live up to those expectations, but to build on that legacy. So there's a lot of humility that needs to come with this, and understanding that we have a journey, and that journey is towards 2025, and that's the step that the National Party decided to take today.
And so what's the difference under David Littleproud versus Barnaby Joyce?
Well, I think obviously we all have our own styles, and I've never purported to have the style similar to Barnaby Joyce. But what this is about is understanding that that journey to 2025 had to start today. It couldn't start in 12 months' time or 18 months' time. It had to start today with a leader that was committed to go to 2025 and be able to put their own team together, not have to change that some juncture in the future between now and the next election, to give certainty to regional rural Australia. It's not only building on that legacy, but differing our styles and making sure that we can articulate and enunciate to regional Australians that we still got their back. We are the conscience of rural and regional Australia in this place, here in Canberra. We take that very seriously. We don't purport to represent anyone in capital cities, never will. And that's why we need to continue on with that. Understanding there are evolving threats that are coming in many of our seats. While I think we did a really good job in maintaining our seats, there are some real signals there that we as a party need to understand and continue to be able to get clear air, to be able to enunciate that we are a broad church and we understand that our constituencies are evolving and we need to evolve with them, and we are.
One of those seats I think you're referring to is the seat of Nichols around Shepparton. I interviewed Sam Birrell, the new member for Nichols, last week. He said he's absolutely committed to that climate policy that you took to the election. He does not want to see any wavering on that for his irrigated farmers and so on. What's your view when it comes to that?
Well, I think the party room made an eminently sensible policy position in December last year, one in which said that we'll look to transition and to build on those traditional industries that are there, create new jobs, but also try and keep them as long as they can with things like carbon capture storage, making sure that we create the environment around them. But understanding, had we not signed up, then capital markets, both public and private, were already factoring in up to 3% extra on your mortgage. Now, while politicians might be able to afford to pay that, I don't think many households out there could. So we were also going to see less for your commodities. We were going to be tariffed on our commodities. So we're a global player. We've got to understand we need to trade with the world. So we took an eminently sensible policy that lived up to the international commitments, that gave us a licence to trade internationally, but made sure we protected those traditional industries and gave the opportunity for the new industries to emerge within regional rural Australia.
Do you have to try and also assist? You're a different party, obviously, and you've been fiercely national. I know during the government period as well, when you're a minister, you'd stand up for the Nats and for your position. But when you try and seek election, is it also incumbent upon you to not put the Libs in a tough spot by some of the language, like from Matt Canavan during the campaign, which those fighting in the Teal seats felt would have hurt them?
You've got to understand that we can't form government by ourselves and the Liberals can't form government by themselves. So we've had a long tradition of a coalition, and chasing extremities won't win you elections. That's reality. That's the brutal game of politics and arithmetic. So what we bring as Nationals is the sensible centre from regional rural Australia, from their perspective. And that's what we'll continue to do, is bring some common sense to Canberra from a regional rural perspective, and understand that to win government and to affect change in regional rural Australia, we have to be part of a team, but there are clear lines of delineation that the Nationals, as part of our values and principles in protecting regional Australia and giving them the opportunity to be part of the solutions, can't be crossed. And that's, I think, has stood the test of time in our coalition agreements, and will continue to do that. And that's where a sensible approach to this will be what the Nationals will continue to take. We actually also respect the rights within our party to be individualistic. I think that brings a diversity to politics that we shouldn't shun. We should celebrate. But there is a time and place for that, and I think we've got to create that environment for that to take place. But in essence, the National Party will continue to be that conscience for rural and regional Australia with common sense.
Did Barnaby Joyce, did he hurt you in some of those seats where the Teals would be saying, you vote for Sharma, you get Joyce, you vote for Frydenberg, you get Joyce as part of the package?
Well, look, I think there'll be a lot of unpacking of the election results, not only in National Party seats, but also in Liberal seats. I think that's obviously what we need to learn from and understand. But I don't think we should be throwing around gratuitous advice at the moment. I think there's a lot of hurt out there. There's members that have lost their jobs and their livelihoods. That's the beauty of this democracy, but the brutality of it as well. And I think what's important is that we set forward on a pathway, a journey to 2025 together.
And you've got to work with Peter Dutton. I know you're good mates with Peter Dutton. What will be your number one priority when it comes to the coalition agreement?
Well, look, I'm about to have those conversations with Peter, and the first rule of negotiating, just a bloke from Western Queensland, is never show your hand. So I mightn't look bright, but that's one of the things I'm not going to show my hand. My party room, I will respect the sanctity of that.
But you'll stand up for you'll stand up for your demands.
Well, the primacy of my party room is something that I respect as a national, as someone that's been in this family for 40 years. Is something that I will fiercely protect and take with me in understanding in those discussions, is that the primacy of my party room will decide where I take this party with them. It won't be about an individual, it'll be about a team, and we'll make that together. And
yeah, it is a tough battle you've got. You know, the new Prime Minister, you'll get a bit of a honeymoon period. You've got a big gap to make up to get majority once again. It looks like a slog ahead of you. Are you ready for it?
Oh, of course. So I've got the energy and enthusiasm to do it. And I think what we're already seeing today is that while they try to do an us-two election and sign up to everything we did, plus some of their own, they're already putting pressure on our budget and our AAA rating, let alone a week into being government. This is the recklessness that we're going to hold to account. I'm going to be constructive with the Labor Party in making sure regional Australia gets their fair share, but I won't be afraid to hold them to account on some of the policies that they bring forward, because otherwise, particularly regional Australia, are the ones that hurt the most. Nationals leader, David Littleproud, congrats once again, and we'll talk to you many times over the coming years. Thanks. I hope so. Thanks, mate.